Toriko being twin brothers with Star Junior. I wasn't a fan of that, honestly.
Well,
Just them being twins, I'm like,
I think we got something going here. So I guess we can make like a short vid of this for the Phantom.
yeah.
Alright, so yeah, we're gonna talk about Toriko. I'm the anime hero, and here's my friend.
Wait, are we doing this now?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Hi.
Yeah, well, you could just say your username.
Oh right, sorry. I am Lunarspout27. I like JoJo. I like other stuff, and I just post a bunch of videos. Whatever I do, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so we're just gonna talk about Toriko, and hopefully, I don't know, maybe some more people will show up later, because usually that's the magic word for people to show up later. It's like, oh, hopefully someone will show up, because that's what happens. And just because hopefully he'll be listening is like, I was waiting for you, Zoro. What the hell are you? Damn it! Let's get the group together, everybody. But anyways, we're gonna talk about Toriko, the manga, I guess, because we were just having a random conversation, and then it just became Toriko somehow. And we were just thinking about, yeah, we were just thinking about the ending of the manga for a bit, because I was telling Lunar that the manga in U.S. licensing is still coming out here, and by 2018, that's when the entire 47 volume Toriko series will be available in its entirety.
Yep.
Yeah. So we were having this conversation about, I guess some of the differences between the anime's ending and the manga ending, and see if it was like which is better, or I don't know, basically just our random criticisms about how we felt reading Toriko towards the end, and I think Lunar's getting a little nostalgic for Toriko.
Yeah. The thing is, when it came to Toriko, like, I don't know, it felt like it totally rushed to me. I think, like, the clear, obvious sign of it being rushed was, like, during, like, when they got to Area 6, was it? Area 6?
I think. I
For
don't
Pear?
remember. I don't remember anymore.
No,
See,
not Pear. No, Pear's the monkey balls. Another, I mean.
yeah, well, that's what I mean. Because when I was reading that on a weekly schedule, after the whole monkey boss stuff, I got lost. The moment they entered that clam,
Yeah.
I don't remember what was going on. I guess I'm gonna ask you, Leonard, since you went this all the way. Do you feel that Toriko suffered the same problem as Bleach, or maybe had it worse or less? Like when it came to Bleach's final arc.
Well, yeah, I mean, like with Bleach, it was rushed. I mean, there were some clear, obvious signs of it being rushed. I don't know if Shimabukuro was having issues with Shonen Jump or with his editor or anything, but I don't know if it's as bad as how Tite Kubo was dealing with. I mean, the clear, obvious sign was that, like, once they went into that giant clam, and, there's, like, these certain plot points that were going on. There was this tournament that the chefs were fighting in, and then there's this whole like controversy with those in the lower class and the poverty, like being forced to work and having their souls like switch in different bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course you have like what's going on with Toriko and everyone else splitting up to the other areas to gather the other ingredients from Kasi's full course menu. But then I remember this one chapter, I think everybody remembered this one chapter, that, like, Komatsu and everyone shows up all of a sudden. They look like they've aged, and they've already done preparing another. Another was the fish dish, right?
I think so, because it's
Yeah.
been so long.
It's been so long.
Because I'm
But
I'm trying to remember. Didn't Toriko end in 2016?
I think so.
Because I'm checking. Because
I mean,
I remember it was. Because I know the New World stuff happened in 2014. Yeah, it ended in 2016, November 21st. It was almost by December.
yeah. Okay, yeah, another is the fish dish that was being prepared, yeah. There was like a bunch of stuff that was being skipped during the another arc.
I feel like the problem of that point of the story is the sudden shift to Komatsu, not because that I hate the character or anything, but it's just that um it felt like a very different destination from where we were expecting, because there was like a couple of fights with the whole horses, and then with the Bambina, and then we go to this where well, I guess they want to give the chefs some spotlight.
This random tournament. I
Hmm.
remember.
And they don't even show that, right?
No, they well actually the thing is they actually showed Judah's fight, and they even given him like a flashback
Oh
to
yeah, yeah,
expand upon his backstory.
yeah. Because of the whole like not even 1 millimeter difference, right?
Yeah. And I was thinking, okay, we're gonna get more development with the other chefs, you know? But no, we didn't. That fight was it just they just skipped the tournament. And it kind of got me wondering, like, there was, like, these different subplots that are going on in the another arc, and then some of them were just either skipped or, not really, like, resolved at all.
Yeah, I remember my problems when reading that on a weekly basis was that I couldn't keep track of everything because it just kept
Yeah, and,
jumping back and forth between Komatsu's group, Toriko's group, and then occasionally whenever Starjun or Teppei would show up, and
yeah,
not to mention all the nitros. Because I can remember the beginning of Toriko very clearly, and even the when they're heading to the new world, I mean the gourmet world, with when they were going to Brunch's village of yokai, and from there they just went straight into, because I know there was that whole watermelon octopus thing, trying to get in, and then there was the
yeah, Area
horses.
8.
Yeah, then there was the horses, and then Bambina, which caused a lot of talk during YouTube in those days.
Monkey balls.
Yeah, not just the balls, but even the whole 69 dance position. Yeah, but from that point onwards, like I remember not being able to follow the story anymore, thinking like what was going on, because I want to say Claymore was still running at the same time, and with that I was losing track of what was happening also, because it was worse with Claymore because it was a monthly, bi-monthly, or maybe even an irregular schedule compared to Toriko's weekly basis, and it's kind of surprising that even though Toriko was weekly, I still couldn't follow along.
I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I still hold Toriko dear to my heart. I really did like this series. It's just, I don't know what it is with shonen and final arcs, but it feels like something happens within the final arc that kind of like either rushes things or just something was missing.
Hmm. I remember one talk that I had with Frank Streiser, and he suggested that maybe it's because of the exhaustion that all the authors are facing by that point. That's why all the final arcs are kind of what's the word for it, convoluted. And then I'm also wondering, like me, because I was also thinking, what if it's like the same editor, like that gets like maybe they change editors around that time, and it just happens to be the same guy that's making everybody fuck up in the final arc. I don't know. But who knows? Well, then again, there are times where even the creators themselves, like, they could still make a fuck up, or because like currently in 2017 at this recording, Bruce Timm made a movie that not many people like. That's Batman related, which is Batman and Harley.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, but just by looking at previews and all that, it looks pretty. Well, supposedly the reviews, like, not many people liked it, and me, just by looking at the trailer, it just it didn't look right, because it kind of seemed like a fan pairing type of, but only done in film. I don't know. The
That
point
doesn't
is,
sound very good.
I don't know. The point is, like, Harley Quinn is like steals the show, and it just kind of feels like why are we going in this direction? I don't know. Like, I don't want to talk about it because from what I saw, to me it just looks like it could be a really bad movie. But I don't know. That's the feeling that, because it never seemed real to me. Because I thought it was a fake thing at first. Like, even the title doesn't sound right. Batman and Harley is like, huh? Or Batman and Harley Quinn, and then I found out it's a real movie. Bruce Timm make this. He wrote it. What the hell? But yeah, I don't know. It just didn't seem like a good mark. And then it just happened, and it so happens that around the same time, I barely found out that Paul Dini made like this really good Batman story that was based on his real life. It was about basically Paul Dini was like mugged and attacked at some point in his life, and this
Really?
yeah, and this story pretty much like interprets like his real life events mixed in with sort of like a surrealness, because he's like having like Batman and Joker talk to his head, and it's about basically about whether to like get up or just let this experience like traumatize you for the rest of your life. So it's a pretty. I haven't read it myself because that's something I really want to explore. So me finding out about that and then hearing about Bruce Timm's Harley and Quinn, Batman and Harley, I'm like, Toriko, like his Shimabukuro's ideas in Toriko at some point just got like a little messy. So who knows? Maybe it's the editor or maybe it's him, but I don't know. There's only like certain mangakas, that like Toriyama, maybe Araki, and currently Oda, that people like could find out so much info about them since they're so big. And in Shimabukuro's case, like we really don't know too much what happens behind the scenes because
Okay.
I remember Kubo, he did mention posting something that he didn't make it all the way through as he intended. And even though he says that, and I remember there was like he received like a letter from, I don't remember the details, but I think he received a letter from a sick person in the hospital or something around the sort. But the point is,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
I heard about it. It was a sick little boy who was a fan of his manga.
mm-hmm.
And he really, I guess what his dying wish was to be able to finish the entire story of Bleach or something.
Yeah.
Read the entire story.
Mm. Yeah, what I'm trying to get to is that even with noble intentions, or even with people doing things that they want, is that maybe sometimes like not everyone else will like it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because that's what I feel like. Some quality. That's what kind of happens in some cases. Because that's how I feel with Toriko. Because me personally, I was never a fan of Komatsu, and never never really was. But I do accept it. How can I put this? I do accept him in the story. Like he works. He's a good character, especially with the incidents with the Four Beast and other scenarios. But like me personally, I never liked the interest whenever they ship to him as the main character, like in the whole clamshell thing. So that's part of my boredom. But there was nothing bad about it yet. But then this sudden jumping back and forth is where I feel in a more objective viewpoint, that's when it does like suffer in terms of narrative because like you said, Lunar, they showed up like aged and it's supposed to be like a surprise, but then they go back and explain how everything happened. So it made me think like why couldn't you keep it like from going, just keep it point A to point B to C, but what he went was like, oh, point A, point C, then point B, and back to C. Didn't you have like other problems also with the Toriko manga?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, first of all, they skipped the rest of the areas and them capturing and preparing the other ingredients. Also skipping the chances of meeting the other eight King of Beasts before they all were like gathered together to fight Neo. That's what honestly was the one chapter that I absolutely hated because we get to focus on all these other adventures. We even get to focus on Komatsu's own adventure in Area 6. But we don't even get to focus any of the other adventures that are going on with Coco, Sunny, and Zebra. So we get to skip their adventures, skip their fights, their development with their partners, any character development, any screen time whatsoever. And for what? So that we can get closer to the final arc, the final battle, which isn't bad or anything, but when you're thinking about the grand scheme of things, the rest of the Four Heavenly Kings didn't get to do anything iconic ever since Area 7.
Wasn't the point of this arc just to see the four of them together?
Yes.
And that doesn't happen all the way.
No. Which I can understand why they need to split up, because you need to gather all these ingredients as soon as possible.
If I recall correctly, they also teamed up with other characters, didn't they?
They did, yeah. Coco was with Tyrant, the poison chef. Zebra was with Brunch, or Brunchy, whichever you want to call him.
Mm-hmm.
And Sunny was teamed up with Livebearer.
That one is the odd couple.
Yeah. But I was actually more hyped seeing Zebra and Brunch together because I always thought they're perfect together as a combo. And we got nothing.
I want to say the problem with the second half is that Toriko was just explaining too many things. Like how
Yeah, come to
everything
think of it,
works.
there was a lot of narration, but it was necessary most of the time.
I kind of feel there must have been a way to abridge that, because I do remember there was like a few chapters that was about Midora's like youth with the Acacia and Well, then again, even Acacia himself, like, because he was turned out to be a bad guy, and then I don't know. Then by the end of it, I think he was meant to be like a I had to do these bad things on purpose kind of guy. But I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
No, the thing is, like, it was kind of flip-flopping because you didn't know, like, whether he was evil or not. But the thing is, this whole time, he was acting evil for the sake of Toriko and everyone else to get angry at him because the anger is enough to take down Neo, I think. So he had to rile them up, saying awful things, doing awful things, so for the sake of defeating Neo. And the thing is, when it came to Neo, like, I didn't mind the backstory. Neo was creepy
Yeah,
as a villain, as a final villain.
just like a
But
weird.
then he gets, yeah. But then the thing is, like, afterwards he's defeated. He gets his own redemption in a way. Like Toriko shares some food with him, and then he's all good. Oh, in a way. And this is kind of like a bit controversial in its own way when it comes to some of the fans because some believe that hey, it's kind of nice that Neo's gonna is being redeemed, but then there's also others that felt like no, that's bullshit. Neo was responsible for killing so many people, consuming so many planets, devouring so many things, and then yeah, I mean, I can understand why people were kind of like conflicted over this.
Yeah, because Neo, from what I remember, because I know he was like killing a lot of stuff, but at the same time, the problem with Neo is that he's not really. I kind of want to say he's not really a character because what he reminds me of is sort of like Kid Buu. Because it's like, oh, there's this
Yeah.
monster that's like that can kill everything, but in terms of personality or reasoning, he doesn't have really anything going for him other than credibility of power.
Yeah, it's kind of true thinking about it.
One of the other reasons why I haven't really reviewed the Toriko manga, or well, the anime I could do that whenever I have the opportunity, but the manga, the reason I'm waiting is because I wanted to have the most accurate translations as possible from Viz Media, just to see what the official uh, wording says. I know there's some people that that do fan translations and they do work hard on it, but sometimes I'm just curious if maybe they got something wrong or if someone did a better representation of what was trying to be said, or who knows, or even if there is a better translation, I don't know for certain if it will make that part 2 section any better. Also, to have it all in bigger chunks than just waiting a chapter a week compared to back then. Because I have noticed that recently people kind of go in and out of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just with like certain anime, but even like almost any trends. Because I was talking to Falcon the other day, and I was looking at some older let's plays, and I also realized that there's a couple of jokes, memes, and even just certain phrases that no one says anymore, even though they're not that old. Like they're not even like 10 years old quotes. I don't think so, but stuff like remember stuff like a boss or uh, that guy got pwned. Phrases like that. No one says that anymore. Or for the win. And currently, which is what's trending right now is I think lit or something else. I don't know.
That's dumb.
Basically the slang.
Am I the only one that thinks that lit is dumb?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can describe practically anything as, oh, this shit is lit. Oh, I like this music. It's so lit. This movie is lit. I'm like, stop saying lit.
Because I remember also last year that one that's like a joke that was too exploitable, which could go with anything that it goes with anything so much that it stops being funny. Is like be calm and whatever, because
Oh yeah, that one.
anything goes with that. But that's what I'm trying to get at when it comes to trends with series. Because I remember when Toriko was like the talk of the talk of the YouTube community, like it was everywhere. But now
Yeah, I mean,
once it's
like,
over, like no one talks about it anymore.
well, yeah, nobody's talked about it. It ended last year, November.
Mm-hmm. It's been like
And
almost a year.
it's been almost a year.
Yeah. Well, this podcast is a little early. It would have been better for like a 1 year of Toriko gone, but yeah. What I was trying to get to is that also may reflect like the audience, but also the staying power of said manga. But then again, like I'm giving them a benefit of a doubt because just about every show that's going on right now that was like a popular a few years back is already gone like no one wants to bring it up anymore for whatever reason because I don't know, some things die out. Like for example, the Attack on Titan hype that was released in 2013, I think,
Oh yeah.
and compared to right now when season two finally came back after all the chibi spin-offs and all that stuff, it's like now we got like an actual sequel, and people are like, eh, it took too long to get here. I'm expecting the same thing to happen to One Punch Man whenever the new anime comes out, which will probably be next year. That like in about give it like another year, and people will get tired of it. I don't know if that's like a good thing or if people just have like smaller attention spans now. I don't know. Because Toriko is like one of those shonens that I feel that it had its moments. Even back then, we were fully aware that how what were Toriko's shortcomings. It was mostly
Mhm.
just while danger was present, it felt like it didn't do enough with the characters. Like
I know what you mean.
yeah, because I guess one of the easiest examples is Zebra. Like he comes in pretty late, like compared to the other Heavenly Kings, and even then he hasn't been able to do too much, which is kind of upsetting because expectations like from very because he was foreshadowed from pretty early. So that's one thing I do appreciate about Shimabukuro that's kind of similar to Oda is that he foreshadows a lot of things ahead of time. And if you go back from the beginning of
Yeah, it does.
Toriko, you'll be surprised how much he does mention beforehand and how things do fall into place. But it's one of those things where I feel like Toriko's focus was more on its aesthetics rather than the actual personal dilemmas of the characters. Because yeah, they all have the goal thing, but there wasn't really any moments where like, oh no, my friend is going to. Well, there were moments like that where my friend's going to die, I gotta save him, type of stuff. Like when Toriko goes to the Gourmet World the first time, and Komatsu's gotta. Sonny goes to Komatsu. Yeah, you who you call Jiro? Get him the fuck out of there. Otherwise Toriko's gonna die. Or like when Toriko lost his arm. So there's moments there
Yeah.
where, but but then like with someone like Coco, he never has like a moment like that.
Yeah, I don't think he ever does.
I kind of want to say maybe it was during the Grim Patch fight, but even then, he was like gone for a while. I'm thinking like, is he dead? Then he just comes back. It's like, nope, I'm alive. It's like, what happened, Coco? And
Yeah,
then,
he just showed up all of a sudden with his hair turned white.
yeah, yeah, Coco is Toki. Brother Toki. Let's praise Coco.
I mean, I don't know. Like, but when it came to Gourmet World, I mean, there was some sense of danger, you know. But then again, there was always like the part of us that would always think, oh, they're gonna be okay in the end.
Yeah,
Well,
because
the main characters at
yeah,
least.
because the powers were like getting pretty ridiculous by that point. Because wasn't there a? I don't remember this correctly, so maybe you could help me fill in the blanks.
Right.
Because I remember when Bambina first showed up, didn't he killed everyone like for a brief second, and then they all regenerated within that same second, or did someone make a clone? Or I forgot what happened in that moment.
Oh yeah, they got fucking slaughtered.
Uh-huh.
I think it was because of Bambina. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was like Bambina. I remember. Yeah.
Because
Um.
I remember there
Well,
was
no.
a
There's two clones,
there were
but Toriko did get his arm ripped off.
okay, so I think they weren't they like poison clones by Coco, I think?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's one of the examples where even though there was like unbelievable stuff that could kill them instantly, I guess that's like I don't know whether it was a good thing that they have these miraculous healing abilities or that often. I do remember in that panel you see like Zebra's head floating because this completely dismembered, and then
Yep.
by the next scene it's like oh, in the next few seconds they're completely fine because well as fine as they can be I guess better than dead, but maybe
Yep.
Toriko did get a little too ridiculous for its own good.
But it had a lot of hype.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it backfired on him because it is kind of superficial, but at the same time, like you do need some sort of excitement in a manga and then some tension. But I don't know. Maybe he put too much attention within those details rather than this character's going through this or well, I don't know. There could be other ways, but then again, like I don't know. I'm kind of mumbling right now because I don't recall everything in the manga and. Uh,
That's okay because like there are times where I don't recall a lot either.
mm, yeah. Because I remember back then I always wanted Toriko to be better in something. but I can't put that into words because I do know because something tells me that it was probably something around the emotional side. I think it's one of those cases where the manga is designed, or both the anime and manga is designed that to excite the reader, but not necessarily engage the character. If that makes any sense.
Really?
Maybe I don't know because I'm just sort of like thinking this on the fly because like let's say all the action scenes, like the action scenes they're good for us because like oh shit that's happening, but in terms of story progression, it's like what I said earlier, the fact that there's supposed to be this sense of danger, but then that danger can easily be reversed. That might be the problem, I think.
Well, the danger is reverse most of the time, but there are occasions where it can't be. I mean, remember, like, Knocking Master Jiro, that guy. Oh my god, he died.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I'm still mad that he died.
See, I can't even remember how he died. I don't.
No, because, like, he had all this damage sustained in his body, but, like, he blocked it with his own knocking.
Mm-hmm.
So, Acacia, aka Neo, he unlocked the knocking, and all that damage, years worth of damage, came back to hit him so badly that his body there was nothing left. At least that's what I remember. I could be wrong, but I think that's how he died. It being the original demon for Toriko, but it was never used ever again because Toriko wasn't ready to handle it, and then it finally wakens, and then it only shows up this one time to do a finger poke at fucking Neo, decimates him, which was pretty cool, but on the other hand, it's just annoying because near the end of the arc, and like, we don't know anything about this thing. To be fair, like, the chapter before the final chapter, that was good. The wedding reception, all the foods, and of course Midora reuniting with his family, that was good. If that was the final chapter, I would have been okay with it. But instead we had to have a chapter afterwards where they had to go off on an adventure in fucking space!